namely fresh fruits and grains, not animal products. And so we have a very delicious meal here. It's very cheap. It goes a long way. It's quite easy to prepare. And we have a lot of fun.
Well, essentially, these are foods that are prescribed according to Orthodox Vaishnavite discipline. So these foods are prescribed, but we don't necessarily prescribe them for everybody. The main thing is no meat, fish, and eggs. No meat, fish, and eggs.
Why not?
Well, because in the scriptures, it states that certain foods Krishna will accept. So we have to offer our food to Krishna. We have to offer the food that he'll accept. The food that he'll accept is stated as vegetables, fruits, leaves, water. We believe that vegetables have also any life form has a soul, and therefore the murder of a vegetable is not in any way different qualitatively from the murder of an animal. But the thing is that vegetables are our allotment according to Scripture. We can eat certain foods that are given to us to eat by God. If we eat food that's not given to us to eat, that's robbery.
Are there any tasks that you have to perform?
Well, there's no real task. We're here to learn, and that's what we're doing. And we also we have jobs to perform to keep the organization running, to keep the word of Krishna being spread.
How do you do that?
Well, we recently purchased a couple of mimeograph machines, and that's helping our printing by word of mouth, by constantly being active.
Mm-hmm. Do you work?
Yeah, we all work.
Yeah. Is this kind of like but you meet here every day, so...
Well, I'm devoting all my time here, so I work here all day. Money has to come in also. Some of us work regular jobs and devote most of our money here, if not all.
Do you feel any different since you returned?
I feel very good. And closer to God.
What introduced you to this group?
A friend of mine told me about Love Celebration at Tompkins Square Park, which was last Thursday, or Thursday before last. And I knew I had been seeking a guru for a while. So Krishna sent me there, and I was there. And after meeting some of the initiates, I knew that the Swami really had to be into something. So I came the very next morning, and I've been here since then.
I came here in America in September 1965. My mission is to preach the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This transcendental vibration will cleanse the dirty things of the mind. It doesn't matter what he is. This transcendental vibration is equally appealing to everyone without any question of language, nationality, creed or caste, because it is coming forth from the depth of the soul. This simple vibration can deliver the people of this age to salvation. Human life is meant for getting out of the threefold miseries of this material existence and forgetting their life's aim. They have become too much materialistic, and the result is that actually they haven't got that peace and of mind or peace of the world which they are anchoring. And if they take to these chanting, transcendental vibration, their mind, the darkness of the mind will be clear, and they can clearly see their actual identity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, or Krishna, and dovetailing their activities in that relationship, everything will be sublime.
I think how we're different from drug people also is to realize that God is here and in my heart and all over all the time, but we're realizing this consciously. To know these things consciously, not just to accept it once and then enjoy. To know this moment to moment.
Well, I've only tried marijuana, but I've never taken anything else. You might say I was fortunate enough to have my self-realizations and other changes without drugs.
Perhaps Leary and some of the drug followers, they are functioning high on a low level, and we are functioning high, and we are functioning low on a high level.
Could you explain that?
You get that? They're functioning high. They're this feeling, this sensual perception, which is extended so far, but they're enjoying the foods and they're enjoying their incense and colors and all these things. This anybody can do. And we are not enjoying these things, but we are functioning on this high level, on the level of God.
But we must consider ourselves as the gopis, so that we can love Krishna that much more, that we devote our whole lives to Krishna, and we must consider ourselves as females, you see.
But let's be careful. It takes many, many lifetimes of perfection to get to be a gopi.
Yeah.
One has to be the supremely developed, perfect in perfection to be able to qualify as a gopi. This is the ultimate.
But the reason that one of the people mentioned before that being feminine is that when the masculine love and the feminine are love, and that you are feminine so that you can be loved by Krishna.
Well, does this have anything to do with being celibate, or
This has to do with
sexual, or
that the supreme being, of course, is male because he is Purusha, as they say in Sanskrit. That is, he is the origin, he is the creator. He is the seed, he plants the seed in the material universe of which we are the result. Therefore, we are the feminine.
this is not
Whole material creation.
Well, are
He
you
is the
celibate?
Supreme Father. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I may be, I may not be. This has nothing to do with it.
I just came in, and I was tired, and they said, if you're tired, go to sleep. Lay down here.
I mean, it's the first day, and this is your first chanting session?
Yeah, this is the first time that I've been into it at all.
I came about the 1st of August. Ray was here a little earlier, I believe.
I came around the middle of August.
And then others, of course, have come within the last week.
Right.
But one thing which usually happens, those who come like this, they come and they just never go. Once you come, you stay. Because the Swami has something which you are looking for.
The first thing they did for us was give us our method of chanting, which is so powerful a method that it will work for anyone. In other words, you don't need to be the one person in a million who can really be successful in meditation yoga, where you have to spend years at that discipline without getting any place and then finally achieve it. Our method is so powerful that it will work for anyone in 2 days.
Should I bow down when I don't feel anything? Should I say these words when I don't feel anything? He says, yes, because this is a training. You see, you want to train yourself. And this is the most important. And then you'll gradually just fall right into it if you work hard at it. You must go, you must practice. And this is the main thing. And then you'll become entrapped in it.
So how about now? Do you feel the way
Oh,
you do?
excuse me?
Do you feel uncomfortable?
Oh, no, I where I am now.
anyone who chants Hare Krishna, have you got the whole chant?
That's a special relocation, just the same as we're all sitting here.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Mahatma Samparibrajacharya Stakare Smala Vitam Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Jaya Nanda Gauri Vaishnava Ki Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya Name Sutta Ho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Jaya Sri Radha Krishna Bhog Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giri Ki Jaya Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadvip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Maya Ki Jaya Jamuna Maya Ki Jaya Guru Dwarka Dham Ki Jaya Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jaya All glories to the All glories to the Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Pleasure for me to be there with you today.
Yes, Prabhu. Please, the verse is shared on the screen. You can start, and we expect more devotees to join as you go on.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari. So, I said before, I'm happy to be with you today. You could see my screen. We have winter in New Vrindavan. And of course, I checked quickly your temperature. You have a very nice summer day, it seems, in Africa. So I'm happy to be with you. I will read the verse twice. We don't repeat both on the time lag, and then I will, of course, read the translation and the purport. Kalpanta idam adaya shayane mambasi udan vataha shia ishoranu pranam vivishenantarada vibo. Kalpanta idam adaya shayane nambasi udan vataha shia ishoranu pranam vivishentaraham vibo. Kalpantaidam adaya shayane vasivan vataha Jaya ishoranu pramam nivishenantar aham vivo. Word by word translation. Kalpa ante, at the end of Brahma's day. Idam, this. Adaya, taking together. Shayane, having gone to lie down. Ambasi, in the casual water. Udanvataha, devastation. Shiyavisho, lying of the personality of Godhead, Narayan. Anupranam, breathing. Vivishe, entered into. Antaha, within. Aham, I. Vibho, all of Lord Brahma. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. At the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements. And I also entered through his breathing. Purport. Narada is known as the son of Brahma, as Lord Krishna is known as the son of Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. And his liberated devotees, like Narada, appear in the material world by the same process. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the births and activities of the Lord are all transcendental. Therefore, according to authorized opinion, the birth of Narada as the son of Brahma is also transcendental, is also a transcendental pastime. His appearance and disappearance are practically on the same level as that of the Lord. The Lord and his devotees are therefore simultaneously one and different as spiritual entities. They belong to the same category of transcendence. The verse again. At the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Shaksharunamitam Jena Dasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalpatirupyasya Kripa Sindhuve Pacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadachara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'm asking the senior devotees to give me your blessing that I can be the instrument of Krishna to share some spiritual knowledge with all of you. And I would like to speak first on the verse and purport, and later on maybe speak a little bit about New Vrindavan, as Srila Prabhupada writes so many times in his books about New Vrindavan. You may know that we are the first farm community in ISKCON, and we are also the first cow protection program in the Western world. So I would like to happen to share something with you. So here in this section, you are actually, it's about how Vyasadeva was actually starting to write or speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. After we hear the story that Vyasadeva, after writing under his instructions the 4 Vedas and the Mahabharata and so on, he felt dissatisfied. And Narada appears and actually helps him to understand why this is happening, why actually he's dissatisfied, because he's not glorifying the Lord himself. And then Vyasadeva has an interest in Narada, and Narada tells him about his life. And you have heard, of course, that he was the son of a maidservant, and as his mother was serving during Chaturmasya, the rainy time, the rainy season, these sadhus, he had, of course, association with the sadhus. He served them, and at the same time he could eat the remnants and got some instructions from them and heard about their discussions about the Lord. And this brought him to a complete other level of consciousness. And it continues that by the Lord's arrangement, his mother was bitten by a snake, and Narada then says he was leaving for north. And finally, after traveling or walking for a long time, he sat down under this banyan tree, and when he was meditating on the Lord actually was appearing on his heart. But he was so overwhelmed that actually he could not see himself, and the Lord disappeared. And then for a long time, he hankered to see the Lord again, but the Lord told him later that he will be unable to see him again in this lifetime. So here we came to the situation that the verse says that at the end of the partial devastation, he was entering Narayan's, Garbhodaksha Vishnu's body, as Brahma did with all his other actually created living beings, creation in this material world. Brahma having 360 days and nights. So we are speaking here about one day of Brahma, which follows one night, and we have always a partial devastation after the one day, and then, of course, after Brahma's life, then is this complete devastation. So I will go first a little bit into this topic of the life of Brahma, the time span actually he's living, and about this partial devastation itself. So if you see in Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 11, verse 31, it is said that the partial devastation starts with a blazing fire out of the mouth of Sankarshan. And this fire is raging, it says, for 100 years of the demigods, which would be 36,000 years of ourselves on the planet Earth. And then after this fire, another 36,000 years, there are torrents of rains accompanied with violent winds and waves, and the sea and the ocean overflows, So these are these 72,000 years, first the fire and then the water, the rain, they are the beginning of the partial devastation of the three worlds. And this is sort of overlapping, from the day into night. As we experience in our life that in the morning, it's still night, and then the sun comes up and there is this time in between. So it overlaps night and day, and in the evening the same. We have still day, but it's getting darker and darker, and then finally night completely falls in. So we have this passage between day and night. We have this passage here in Brahma's day and night, and we have this passage we also hear from actually one yuga to the next. So one yuga is ending, but the other yuga is starting, and there is a sort of overlap time before the new yuga is completely present. So here we hear that Narada, he was entering into the body of Lord Narayan, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he had his spiritual form. And I will speak later on about it. It's very interesting. Why would this happen? Because Narada had a completely spiritual form. He could go to the spiritual world. He could go to another universe where actually Brahma's day did not end and so on. But let's first speak about the time span, you know. So Kalpa is 1 day of Brahma. And 1 day of Brahma actually is 1,000 yuga cycles. So a yuga cycle is, of course, Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga, if we start from the smallest or the shortest one. So Kali Yuga, we know, has 432,000 years. If we go to Dwapara Yuga, it's twice 432,000 years, so it's 864,000 years. If we go then to Treta Yuga, it's 3 times 432 years. So we add another 432,000 years, which leads us to 1,296,000 years. And then when you go to Satya Yuga, we add another 432,000 years, which then brings us to 1,728,000 years. So the 4 yugas are together 432,000. So sorry, 4,320,000 years. Actually, it's 10 times the time of Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is once 432,000. And Dwapara is twice, so it's 2. Treta 3 times, and Satya Yuga 4 times. So if you add 4, 3, 2, 1, we're up to 10. So it's 10 times 432,000, which brings us to 4,222,000. And 1 day of Brahma has 1,000 of these cycles. So we are speaking about 4,320,000,000 years, which is completely inconceivable for us, you know. How can we understand that 1 day is going so long? It's just out of our mind, you know. And if we would see that in our lifetime, that in the best case we may be 100 years old, so it would be, let me see, 400. If I'm correct, 432 million lives of our best lifetime in this world, you know. And 1 day of Brahma is equal to 1 day of Brahma's night, you know. And then end of the Brahma's day, this partial annihilation happens, you know. And Brahma's life is the life of 14 Manus. So finally, it's of course so much more longer. They cannot even get together the number of the years anymore. So as we said before, at the end of the day of Brahma, this devastation happens, and it's starting with the fire and the water. And it said that in the upper planets, it's so hot that actually they take their viyamanas and they go to other lokas where actually the heat is not so strong already, you know. So they are trying to actually evacuate practically to other lokas. As of course, you know, the fire creates the biggest heat on top. As we know, in a room, the heat goes always up, you know. So they try to go to another place. So when we understand that if we are still present at the end of Brahma's day, this will happen to ourselves too, you know, so that we are actually entering with all the other living entities in Garbhodaksha Vishnu's body, and are staying then for these lengths of time in his body, you know. And if you think about that, and of course, if you think about the end of our lifetime, and the end of Brahma's day, or the end of Brahma's lifetime, you know, how can we still be happy in Maya, and how can we not have this indication for ourselves and this inclination that just only think about Krishna, and as said in Bhagavad Gita, always think of him, never forget him, you know. But at least myself speaking, you know, we have these layers of covering, you know, around ourselves, that we have still this inclination to see ourselves as the body, and as whatever, a devotee or a husband or a son, and so on, you know. And we are covered ourselves with this identification, you know. And we feel that in Maya, this false happiness, you know, which we all know is just Maya, the other energy of Krishna, which covers us up and gives us this feeling that everything is okay. But, you know, just looking around, Prabhupada says, seeing that everybody around us leaves the body, what kind of foolishness is that we don't realize that this place is really not, as Prabhupada says, for gentlemen. This place is the mortal world, where we don't belong, and that we go deeper in our Krishna consciousness and actually get out of this place, you know. And when we see just this now, what's now happening with this pandemic, that at least should show us that it's really no place to achieve happiness, because at least in New Vrindavan, where we are, we have to, in the temple room, only walk around with masks and social distancing and all these kind of troubles which this situation actually creates, you know. So when Narada was actually entering into the body, he had the same, as my understanding, as the Lord, as Srila Prabhupada says in Canto 3 again, a mystic splendor. So normally when we go into night and we sleep, we forget everything. That's the arrangement of Krishna. And in the morning we get back to our identification and understand, okay, what is my duty and what I want to do today, and so on. But the Lord himself, Srila Prabhupada says, he's in a mystic splendor. So it's another presence of the Lord. And my understanding is, of course, that as Narada Muni was a pure devotee, he was also in a mystic splendor. So it means he was not at sleep. He was awake in another level of presence, you know. So if we meditate a little bit on all this different information I try to share, it just makes us again the conclusion that everything is so inconceivable. The Lord is so inconceivable for us, you know, how he created this one universe through, of course, Brahma, and the millions of universes, how he's in every atom and in between, how his energy is, of course, in all this creation, in every table and spoon and whatever we name it. At the same time, he's completely aloof, and he is completely satisfied in himself. He does not need sleep. He does not need to eat. At the same time, he can eat with all his different organs. He can eat with his ears or do whatever with his different parts of his spiritual body. And when we then hear about this endless time just Brahma has in his life, and speak about the eternal time which never ends, you know. And then all these stories about demigods, the 33 million demigods to actually manage one universe, and the fights between the demigods and the demons, and the Lord's appearances in these different forms at different times, you know. So it's just inconceivable for us. And the first reaction he creates this feeling of own reverence, about the Lord himself. But then at the same time thinking him about the cowherd boy with his peacock feather, stealing the butter, liking to wrestle with his cowherd boy friends. And when he loses, which of course he could never win, put them on his back and run them around, as that was the arrangement at the beginning. The one who loses has to do that. So it's this unconceivable, what can I say, reality we cannot really grasp with our material mind, and it just keeps us to understand what our real duty is, always think of Krishna and never forget him, And he creates also this sort of happiness that we have access to this knowledge through Srila Prabhupada, and gratitude towards Srila Prabhupada as he was coming to the West at his old age and spent all his energy to spread this Krishna consciousness, to write his books, so that we have access to this knowledge, So it's just this feeling of own reverence. So if we go to the purport, the purport starts saying that actually Narada is the son of Brahma and Krishna is the son of Vyasadeva, But we know that Krishna is not really the son of anybody because he is the father of everybody. But of course, based on the rasa, the way the devotees approach him, he's happy to play the son of somebody who is in this parental mood towards him. So Devaki and Vasudeva, of course, have been praying and like so much to have the Lord as their son. So he appeared as their son. And the same happens for Narada, He's not really the son of Brahma. He's, of course, this eternal living being. And in one Leela, of course, he's the son of Brahma. And it goes so far that in his role, in his Leela, he actually enters at the end of the day of Brahma. Actually also Garbhadaksha Vishnu's body, but it's another transcendental Leela. As said before, he could easily go to the spiritual world or he could go to another universe, but it's part of his life that he actually is this transcendental traveler going around and spreading Krishna consciousness everywhere and participates in different leelas, So he's, of course, not too forced to appear like that. He's completely free, as a spiritual being. And when he descends into the universe, so that's his free will, like it's the Lord's free will to actually appear in the different yugas he likes to appear, and in different forms he likes to appear. So they are in the same capacity as we hear. And Srila Prabhupada confirms that by saying, I'm reading the sentence from the purport, therefore, according to the authorized opinion, the birth of Narada as the son of Brahma is also a transcendental pastime. And he says his appearance and disappearance are practically on the same level as that of the Lord. Yeah, because he's a spiritual being, completely pure soul. It's his free will to come to this universe and actually spread Krishna consciousness, participate in a pastimes. That's the same it was for Srila Prabhupada, coming to this spiritual world, to this material world, and actually preach Krishna consciousness and fulfilling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. It says the Lord and his devotees are therefore simultaneously one and different as spiritual entities. So, of course, the Lord is the Lord himself. And as we're all spiritual beings, our own personality, therefore, the they are one in quality, as we always hear in Srila Prabhupada's books, you know, like the drop of the ocean and the ocean itself. We are one in quality with the Lord, but not in quantity. So we are one and different, one in the quality, but different in the quantity. We are one, of course, in the Satchitananda, full of knowledge, eternal and full of bliss, but different because the Lord is the cause of all causes. The Lord is finally the creator behind everything, and even in He plays, of course, the small cowherd boy who likes to meet Radharani and go and take care of the cows and the calves and so on. So again, as a summary, we hear here the pastimes of Narada, who is this time not going around with his veena and glorifies the Lord. He is actually entering at the end of the day of Brahma, Narayan's body, as we all do if we are present at this time, you know. And it's just giving us a little understanding, of course, what's happening at this time and what these transcendental pastimes can lead to. You know, we may question, you know, why is he spending so many thousands of years in Narayan's body and is not preaching the glories of the Lord in other universes? But that's, of course, part of this inconceivable creation, part of these inconceivable arrangements of the Lord, which I cannot grasp, you know. And so, of course, this reminds us that what is our duty: always remember Krishna, never forget Him, always thinking about Him, and be aware of Krishna and Maya. You know, Srila Prabhupada says there are two madnesses in this world. We can be mad of Krishna or we can be mad of Maya. Mad of Krishna is, of course, then we deeply meditate on Krishna. In all what we do is an offering. Whatever you do it as an offering. For me, as said in Bhagavad Gita. On the other hand, you know, it's the madness of sense gratification, you know, where we are always attacked by Maya to go into doing things for ourselves, do not have the right attitude. Whatever we do it as for our pride and for our fame, and of course run after sense enjoyment in so many ways. We can do that, you know, just for seeing this wonderful creation, just for our pleasure, but not appreciate it at the same time, or appreciating Krishna's wonderful creation and wonderful qualities and so on. So that was my part. I wanted to share about the verse and actually the purport today. But has given me the opportunity to speak from New Vrindavan. I wanted to speak a little bit about New Vrindavan itself, if you allow me to do that. So you see here behind me, this is New Vrindavan. This is Kusum Sarovara. Here actually, behind, on this side, you see our swan boat house. Just to say, during the summer, we have every Saturday a swan boat festival. We bring Radha Vrindavan Chandra onto a boat, which had this form of a swan. And the Lord takes a ride on the lake here behind me. And then actually what happens is that it's at night, normally 9 p.m. in US. We go with the pilgrims, as we are a place of pilgrimage. We go with the pilgrims with torches onto the other side of the lake where is a ghat. We sing the holy name and we make an arti to the Lord. And it's a very joyous festival. I will change my background to the summer. You see here New Vrindavan from a little above. You see here the lake. We have a big lodge building, and behind our temple building. So we are a community started by Srila Prabhupada in 1968. So that means for currently 52 years, and next year, of course, 53 years. It started in an old farmhouse in these hills of the Appalachian Mountains. And everybody is always asking, why would you make a farm in the Appalachian Mountains where everything is hillside? You have hills, it goes down into the valley with creeks, it comes up again and goes down again. Naturally, not really a land where you have a good opportunity of farming, because you have only the top of the hill where you actually can farm and more or less have cows, you know. But what happened is that there was an impersonalist guru here. He owned a lot of land, and he was putting out in newspapers ads that there is free land for spiritual communities, for spiritual people. And Hayagriva and Kirtanananda, they have seen this ad in San Francisco in a newspaper. And then they came here to actually inquire from this owner, Mr. Rose, about this land. And he offered them that he would give them a big piece of land. Of course, he was thinking that they would become his disciples. He had different disciples around him meditating. They had different huts. And that was what he was expecting. So Hayagriva and Kirtananda would meet in Montreal, Srila Prabhupada. It was the time Srila Prabhupada could not enter the United States based on these visa issues. And Srila Prabhupada encouraged them to actually start this farm community. And they made a deed, and Srila Prabhupada was giving feedback on the deed and different legal language in the sentences and phrases in the deed. So finally he had given them a go, and they said, okay, we should actually name it New Vrindavan, you know, and Vrindavan in India, we should have New Vrindavan. I always explain our pilgrims and Western visitors. We have many Western visitors coming to us based on the landscape and the beauty. We have 3 lakes, we have swans, we have peacocks, we have cows, and we have the Palace of Gold, which I will speak later about it. That Srila Prabhupada actually adapted the same methodology the pilgrims, the settlers in the United States used. You know, you have York in England, but then they said New York. You have Orleans or Orléans in France, so they say New Orleans in the United States. So it's Vrindavan in India and New Vrindavan here. And Srila Prabhupada said that actually New Vrindavan is equal to Vrindavan. He says it's even better because there are no Mayavadis in New Vrindavan. So Srila Prabhupada created out of his heart this holy Dham in this part of the world, which we can feel that there is a complete other energy than in the land around us. Of course, it's the holy Dham. And life is intense in the meaning that we know that whatever service you do is amplified by 100 times or 1,000 times whenever you read it. On the same is for your offenses. And Krishna is pushing us much more to see our rooms for improvement. I always say to the newcomers, please understand, New Vrindavan is a boiling pot. And if somebody is not greeting you in the morning the way you would like to be greeted, it's not about you, it's about the other devotee being in a process of some processes Krishna is pushing us to go through. So our farm has about 2,200 acres, which is very big. The farm is about 6.5 miles long, means about 10 kilometers. We have about 230 residents, and about 100 around the temple. We have a men's ashram and the ladies' ashram. Normally about 20-25 devotees live in the ashrams. The temple has 33 apartments, mainly grihastas who are serving full time at the temple. They're living in these apartments. We have a school. We have a preschool from 3 to 5 years old for our children. And we have a school from the 1st to the 8th grades. After the 8th grades, devotees go to the high school in the area. But our devotees are always on top of their classes because, you know, their school is about Krishna, writing about Krishna, reading about Krishna. They start, of course, the morning with an arti and kirtan, and they are just more intelligent than the other people in the area. So we are a place of pilgrimage. Srila Prabhupada set it up like this. We are on one hand a farm community where we have about 70 cows, normally between 69 and 70. We had just a new calf about 2 weeks ago, a female calf. And we are growing food for us. It's not sufficient for us because, of course, in the summer, we have about 35,000 pilgrims coming a year. And they're coming from far away, from New York, 7 hours, from Boston, 12 hours, from Toronto in Canada, about 6.5, New Jersey, 6.5, from Atlanta, 12, and of course the cities around us. And when they come, they stay with us. We have about 280 beds. So they stay 1 night or 2 nights, and they really, you know, like to see the Lord, his darshan, pray to the Lord, then attend classes. We have a Govardhan Parikrama because we have Govardhan, we have Radhakund, Shyamakund. We have the Swan Boat Festival, which I mentioned before, and many other things during the day where we try to engage them in a Krishna conscious way. We have storytelling about Krishna Leelas. We have special hours for the kids where we, you know, do some Krishna conscious activities with them in different age groups. So that's the normal life. So in the summer, we are all very, very busy. We need normally in a normal pandemic summer about 100 to 105 devotees actually taking care, because we need 5 receptionists. We have about 50 devotees in Govindas. We have a restaurant. We have, of course, so many cleaners for our rooms. We have about 8, 9 tour guides at the Palace of Gold. The Palace of Gold is actually a samadhi of Srila Prabhupada. He came here when the palace was under construction. When he came, it was not a palace. Actually, Srila Prabhupada sent a letter to different temples and said, if you give me a house where I can stay, I will come for 6 months every year and just write. Translate Srimad Bhagavatam. And New Vrindavan said, yeah, we will do that. And they started a simple house for Srila Prabhupada, which was, you know, Srila Prabhupada's actually study room where he would write, Srila Prabhupada's sleeping room, a separate bathroom, and in the middle of the building, actually a temple. And on the other side, quarters for the servants, you know, a kitchen and of course, bathroom, shower, and then places the servants could sleep. So that was the initial house, you know. Prabhupada came twice when the palace was under construction. He actually visited New Vrindavan in 69, the first time. The farm started 68. He wrote to Kirtanananda and Swami then and said, when you have electricity, I will come, because of course Srila Prabhupada wanted to translate at night, as he usually did. And then in 69 he came. He stayed for 32 days the first time. He came back in 72, 74, and 76. So 74 and 76, his house was under construction. And he already said, I will be always there in my house. But then when Srila Prabhupada left in 77, the devotees made this house into a big palace, you know. They used about 4 pounds of gold, you know, in gold leaves everywhere, wonderful paintings, 40 different marbles from 17 countries. They made a porch around with wonderful stained glass windows, peacock windows. Peacock's windows have 1,628 pieces, and they made these windows, and so on, you know. So therefore, the Palace of Gold is one of the well-known tourist attractions in West Virginia. It's also a unique tourist attraction. We have half an hour from us a big highway going east-west, I-70 in the United States, from the East Coast to the West Coast. And when people go by and they actually Google a unique tourist attraction, then they actually find out about the Palace of Gold, and they come and visit us. Get to a tour at the Palace of Gold. We have a big rose garden behind the Palace of Gold with about 70 different roses, which people like. And there is another pond there, and it's wonderfully landscaped by the devotees, and they really appreciate that. And we encourage them to come down to the temple, which is about 6-7 minutes walk, and we give them a temple tour, explain them about our faith, give them a book at the end, and encourage them to go to the restaurant. So that's a little bit about New Vrindavan. We are, I said before, the first cow protection program in the Western world. And unfortunately, we still have farmers around us. They are, growing beef, cows, and bulls. We're very unhappy about that. But unfortunately, that's the material world. We cannot influence that. And at the same time, we are serving as this place of pilgrimage. So thank you for allowing me to speak about that a little bit, and so that you have, next time when you read about New Vrindavan in Srila Prabhupada's books, you have an understanding what's happening here. It's a very intense life. In summer, I said, we have every weekend a festival, and so many new visitors coming. So how long is our class? I did not ask at the beginning, Prabhu.
Yeah, it's 1 hour, Prabhu.
1 hour. So we have some time for some questions, and otherwise I will share with you my favorite Leela of Krishna. But maybe we could see first if you have some questions.
Yeah, if any devotee have question, please just indicate by raising your hand.
Okay, so let me start with my Leela. Huh?
Yes, please. That's right.
Okay. I'm reciting a Leela of Bhakti Purushottama Swami's book, Srimati Radharani. I don't know if you know it. He actually writes about so many Leelas we normally do not find in Bhagavatam, but of course he has sources to speak about it. So one day, Krishna, when he came out of his room, he had seen that Mother Yashoda was preparing this big box, and she had clothing in there, and jewelry, and incense, and oils, and different things. And Krishna was asking Mother Yashoda, Mother, is this for me? He said, no, Krishna, for you and Balaram, I made much bigger boxes with all this content, But Abhimanyu is currently with your father, and he's talking to him on some business. As soon as he is done, I will ask him actually that he picks up this box and brings it to a young girl, which I like very much, So Krishna said, oh, wow, that's an opportunity for me today, As soon as Mother Yashoda had finished the box and she was going back to the kitchen, Krishna called actually his friends and said, you have to help me. Please come and help me. So he said, oh, help me to empty all these items in this box, And they took everything out and hid it. And Krishna went in there and said, please close this box, So as soon as Abhimanyu was done with Krishna's father to speak about some business, Mother Yashoda came and said, oh, please take this box and bring it to Radharani. I prepared this for her. So Abhimanyu was very happy to understand that Radharani would get some gifts, And when he took the box up and put it on his shoulder, he said, oh, it's so heavy, And he was thinking, there must be so much gold in there, And he was starting to meditate what he could do with his gold, So he was thinking, oh, I could actually acquire some more cows, and I could expand my cow herd, and maybe I could do this and that, whatever. So the whole time he was actually walking back to his home. He was meditating what he all could do. But as soon as he would approach the home, Kirtida had seen him and said, "Oh, he's for sure for Radharani. Bring it back right up to her porch, you know." So Abhimanyu was very unhappy and said, "Oh, Krishna, I lost my opportunity." So he was going up there and knocking on Radharani's door, and actually she was there with some of her girlfriends and putting it out on the terrace, on the porch, on the other side, you know. So Radharani had this small whatever feeling and crippling on her left breast, but she was not thinking at all about anything, you know. So the Abhimanyu left for his cows to go and take care of his cows, and the Radharani with the gopis, you know, they played around and the different games and so on. But finally, Vishaka said, "Oh, we should actually open this box and see what is in this box, you know." So what happened that they went out there onto the porch and they opened the box, and who was in there? Of course, Krishna, you know. So they directly started to chastise Krishna. Said, "What are you doing here? This is not a place for you. You are a complete cheater. You always do these abominable things. This is a place only for ladies. How can you be here?" And they started to chastise him and chastise him and chastise him. And of course, Krishna was playing the bad boy. But of course, he was so happy to be chastised by the gopis and Radharani, you know. So then Krishna, of course, played the innocent boy and said, "I do not know what happened. You know, I don't know why I'm here. You know, I don't even know how this happened. That from my home suddenly I'm on your porch. You know." And it went back and forth and back and forth. So finally, the gopi said, "Okay, how can we actually punish Krishna? You know what he did again? You know, he's always such a naughty boy. You know." So at the end, actually, they proposed. One of them proposed, "You know, we have to bind Krishna with Radharani. That's actually the punishment he has. He cannot leave. He has to be here for the whole day. And we just bind them on their arms." Yeah? Krishna, of course, was the naughty boy. He made a naughty face, how this was so horrible, and how could they punish him? And he did not nothing wrong, and continued, of course, his argumentation against the gopis. But of course, inside he was so happy that he could spend the whole day with Radharani, so close to her. So finally, they bound Krishna's arms and Radharani's arm, and so they spent the time together. And then later on, his boyfriends would come and bring all the content of the box. Yeah? So they told Kirtida that they have so many more gifts for Srimati Radharani that she allows them to go up to her room. And they came to Radharani's room and actually brought all the gifts which have been in the box itself. And they all had, of course, a pleasant gathering there. And finally, they all left with each other so that Krishna could hide behind the other boys so that Kirtida could not see that he was spending the whole day with Radharani. So that's one of my favorite pastimes of Leelas of Krishna in this book of Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, and it was my pleasure to share it with you.
We really appreciate your time, and thank you for taking us to New Vrindavan. Even we have not been there, just by your explanation, we felt that we are already there.
Okay, so if you ever come in to the United States, please be our guests. Let me know before, and we will make arrangements that you can come and visit us and experience this wonderful Dham of New Vrindavan. I said to you before, the Dham is very special, and of course, as Prabhupada said, Prabhupada is of course present in the temple room, but Prabhupada is so much more present even in his palace, his home. This day when we go there and chant, our chanting is just one level better because Prabhupada is so present there. So it will be a pleasure to receive you in New Vrindavan or when we meet somewhere all over the world on our pilgrimage. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be with you today. Wish you all the best, and let us always remember Krishna and never forget him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Let us all unmute and chant one Hare Krishna to appreciate Prabhu for coming. Oh, sorry. There's a hand up. Is Grace Hade Prabhu wants to ask you a question. Sorry.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Paul.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna.
I see you are a doctor. You are a doctor. You are currently in your clinic, or?
I'm a small nurse.
Can you say it again?
I said I'm a nurse.
Are you nurse? Okay. Okay.
Yes. A little one. Little. Prabhu, I am trying my best to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. But I'm not sure if I can make it. But I have heard that those who live with Lord Brahma, they do not die. At the end of Lord Brahma's life, everybody together with Lord Brahma go back home. So what can one do to at least attend Lord Brahma's world? That's my question.
Okay. You know, you first of all, you have a wonderful goal, you know, to go back to Godhead, which Srila Prabhupada said that should be all our goal, you know. And we all know when we have a goal, we have a focus to that, you know. As long as we have no goal, you know, we are engaged in so many things and there is no focus, you know. And that's the same in Krishna consciousness. You may know Vaisheshika Prabhu.
Yes.
He's so strong in book distribution, you know, and he always teaches us, you know, you need a goal. I can tell you, I just experienced this myself again. You know, we had actually a goal to distribute 1,000 Gitas. We are a farm. Normally, we don't have too many devotees to go out there because we are so busy on the farm. But this time, you know, it was COVID. It was a little different. So finally, we distributed 5,035 Gitas because we could really focus, you know, said, okay, now it's COVID, we don't have so many other activities, and we can really focus. And it created this, first of all, this wonderful spirit that everybody had the same focus, you know, even, okay, I'm a puchari and I'm doing this and that, whatever, but there was an overall focus, and that's actually what brings us to the goal. So I'm very happy to hear from you that you really want to go back to Godhead, you know. And the second one is, of course, you know, that we all know we have our coverings, and we have, of course, this wonderful gift that we can do devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada explained it to us that we can do devotional service to actually get rid of this covering and cleanse our heart. You know, and Srila Prabhupada says you can be Krishna conscious in 1 second, or of course, for me and for many of us, it takes much longer. You know, but if we are steady in our service, you know, chanting, following the 4X, because they pull us always down and bring us back into Maya's realm, and offer whatever we do consciously in the morning to Krishna or our Guru. So this is, of course, the foundation to move forward, you know. So if we are steady, you know, if we are, I'm just missing the other word, excited, you know, enthusiastic, Srila Prabhupada says, you know, Srila Prabhu Swami, is enthusiastic and dedicated, then they will actually help us, you know. And we always, or at least I always remember that Srila Prabhupada said, you know, 70% is enough, you know. So that's my little thing. I don't think I can be 100% pure. I can be 100% Krishna conscious. But Srila Prabhupada said, when, you know, you remember the past times with Srila Prabhupada, when the devotees had all been a little morose and said, how can we ever go back to Godhead? But Srila Prabhupada then said, okay, 90%. And you know, it did not enliven the devotees to hear 90%. But finally, he stopped at 70%, you know. Said, okay, you know, I have the key to the back door. I know the back door. If you are 70% Krishna conscious, I will help you to go back to Godhead. So I think that's a big support for all of us to to understand that we may still struggle a little bit, but if we come to a certain level of consciousness, so then actually we will make it, you know. So of course we know the ladder up to prema, you know. So what we have to be, we have to steady that we have this steadiness, so that finally we get to ruchi, where we have real taste. And as soon as we have this taste, it's not just you know, our standard devotional service we do based on sadhana bhakti. As soon as we have taste and we develop actually Raganuga bhakti, then from then on it's much easier. It does not mean it's just an easy life, but if we have really, we come to this level of ruchi, where the taste starts, that makes it much easier, and then we can actually hopefully go up to bhava and finally to prema, you know. But what we need is, Srila Prabhupada says, we need association. We can hardly do it alone, or cannot do it alone. Of course, we can have association as we have now over Zoom and different places, but we need like-minded devotees around us, and we need some devotees who are our guides, our guru, or maybe other devotees who actually help us to keep on track, give us some feedback and help us. So that's a big part. Association is a very big part in our life, so that we can create this environment, that we have this right association, and seeing if we do all this, you know, it's up to Krishna to help us to get out of this material world. It's he who decides, you know, it's the two fingers, our endeavor, and of course his mercy and his blessings. Two fingers too short, but you know, we need a sort of optimism every day. And if we have the steadiness and focus our life, then our Guru and Srila Prabhupada will help us.
Yes, Prabhu, that brings me another question. I love the part where you say, Srila Prabhupada said that if we are 70% perfect, then it will open the back door for us. That is very interesting and appetizing, you know. So I wish if you can, in terms of the steps of bhakti, like we have Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, where would that 70% fall, so that we can really focus on that, you know?
Yeah, we have to be before bhava, or at least approaching the bhava stage, you know, so that we really have this love developed for Krishna, which we know is eternally in us, but, you know, now is the covering there, you know, and you know, we have these layers of covering, which gives us this false identification, you know, and as more as we can cleanse ourselves and get rid of this covering, then this bhava, which is actually there, can open itself, you know, and can be experienced by us, you know.
Prabhu, if you put it in on the platform, if you put the 70% on the bhava, then I'm a little bit doubtful, because bhava should be around 90%, you know. Because if you're already on bhava, you're already in prem. So
I said approaching bhava. You know, please. Okay. No, I don't have a shastric support for that.
No, but I understand. It's interesting.
On that. So I have to say that's pure my speculation, you know. But we have to be up there approaching bhava, you know. So it must be more than ruchi, you know. So that's my speculation. Please understand that I don't have a shastric evidence, and I don't have a quote.
No, Prabhu, it's very wonderful. I love that. One thing that I can say is that I love where you mention ruchi, because I've seen in one of Prabhupada's purport in Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada said that at least devotees should try as much as possible to come to Ashakti.
Yeah.
Ashakti is attachment to Krishna. So I saw in one of the purport in Srimad Bhagavatam. I've forgotten now. I have to go and find it out. But they mentioned Ashakti precisely, because Ruchi and Ashakti is two different levels. If you're on Ruchi, you are not on Ashakti. And if you're on a Shakti, you are Rishi, you are far from Rishi. Because I was reading and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti mentioned the difference between Rishi and a Shakti. That if a devotee is on the level of Rishi, if he chants Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, sometimes his mind still go to material things. Maybe you chant and you start thinking of so many other things. But if one is on the level of a Shakti, even when you want to think of material things, your mind naturally goes to Krishna. So I will presume that your 70% is on the level of a Shakti, not on Bhava.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, really wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again. It was a pleasure to be with you today, and I wish you a very Krishna conscious day, and hope to see you somewhere in the world. Hare Krishna.
Very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Let us all unmute ourselves and chant Hare Krishna to appreciate Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Haribol. Haribol.
Haribol.
feel so strongly that mantra is the answer to the turmoil and the disconnect between people's hearts and their external lives.
I made close to $170,000 in my first year. Over time, it became clear to me that money doesn't really buy happiness, doesn't really buy true love. I tried to bring a certain element of humanity in a place that was all about money.
Eco Valley Foundation is mainly dealing with environmental, economic, and social sustainability.
I felt like I wanted to come back and teach in the Gurukul because I had such a nice experience here. All my friends grew up here. We all grew up as one big family, one big community.
There's no satisfaction greater than being an instrument of God's grace to people in need on all levels. We're grateful to these children that they allow us the highest privilege of serving them and being blessed by doing so.
Composition of the community is worldwide, and we're all here for the same purpose, to develop our own spiritual lives.
You go on the playground here and you're going to see, a Russian kid, a Chinese kid, an Aussie, a Bengali. They have this unity.
We should be always having a divine party at every moment of our lives, everywhere we go.
We want to see everyone happy.